Good morning, Carly. How are you
Morning.
today?
Very good. Thank you, Julie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And today we are also welcoming our special guest, Hayley. Thank you for being here, Hayley.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Carly, I think over to you because you and Hayley have already started to have for some great conversations, and I think you're going to have a great podcast today because Hayley's got so much to share with us.
Yes, thank you. So, Hayley, I saw Hayley up on social media just doing her thing and talking about her work and her life, and I was really intrigued. So, I connected that way with Hayley, and then I discovered when I went onto your Instagram. So, you run your own business, you're an award-winning therapist, and you campaign for mental health. So I was like, right, we've got to get this girl on the podcast and just get to know you and really kind of understand where it all started for you, how far you've come. Um, when when you became an award-winning therapist, did things change for you? So yeah, we'd love to kind of get an insight into your beginnings, if you like.
Okay, perfect. Absolutely.
So I just want to know a few things. Also on your YouTube, I noticed that you have a wonderful video. So you kind of create this image of yourself as Mary Poppins. And this is going to be something I'm sure a lot of people will now go onto your website or your social media, click on the link and check this out. Because again, how have you created this image? How do you keep up this image? So fire away, let us know everything, tell us all.
um, yeah, I mean, I should probably preface by saying, I'm not happy in Mary Poppins energy every single day. I have my down days, and I think it's important to acknowledge those so you're able to go out and, you know, give, because that's what this industry is. It's about, giving. We give a lot, don't we? So, and I think I've done so much research on how massage therapy affects people, especially those with mental health issues. And of course, I mean, I have my own story with mental health and massage as well. And so I know firsthand the effect massage has. And so the passion I get from that keeps me going. So, I have clients that I see every week, so week in, week out, or every fortnight, and I have done for years. And, they rely on me to be at my best. They rely on me to be like this, to help them as well. And so that keeps me going every week. Seeing the difference that it makes, definitely.
And when you say you've had your own journey with mental health, can you kind of expand a bit on that for us?
Definitely. My mental health journey starts from a very young age. I'm a survivor of childhood trauma, and like many children who have had trauma, I suppressed it, didn't tell anyone for years, and I came forward with it in my 20s. But shortly after I gave birth, the physicalities of the trauma erupted. So the birth was the trigger of that, and I had post-traumatic stress disorder, severe depression, anxiety, and it was so sudden. It was just as I was being wheeled back round to the ward, actually, and I struggled for so many years, and it affected every aspect of my life. To the point where I felt like it had taken from my daughter the mother she should have had. So that's how bad I felt about myself.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard to, get through. And I was on and off antidepressants for quite a while, but I could never get on top of it. And a couple of years after I gave birth, I finally got round to getting a massage myself. And the impact was unbelievable. It was I just couldn't believe it. I actually ended up booking in a few more, but what the massage did, it helped these plethora of symptoms I was struggling with. So my muscles were incredibly heavy. My whole body was just exhausted. my heart rate was fast all the time, and any noise that was unexpected, it would just race and I'd feel sick. I had headaches, and I didn't expect to struggle with these symptoms with mental health issues, but the massage helped those. And not only that, but the massage helped to reawaken my body again and bring life back into it and take away some of that heaviness that was dragging me down. And because of that, it freed up that cycle that I was in, where the physicalities of my depression and post-traumatic stress disorder were just feeding back into my mental state, and I was stuck in this vicious cycle. And the massage helped to break that cycle. So then I was able to focus on helping the mental side of things. And so that was a huge wake-up call for me. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've worked with tens of thousands of clients, and I've seen firsthand the impact massage therapy has had. I've worked with clients who have, who are bereaving, who are going through divorce, who are, clients who are really ill, people who all have their own unique story. But the massage therapy has always had that same positive effect. And so to then be in those shoes and experience that when I needed it the most, kind of just woke me up and made me realize that how amazing this industry is, and what this industry can do, and what we can offer. And so that's where the campaign was born from, really.
Great. Oh gosh, honestly, as you're talking, my body's tingly again. This keeps happening on our podcast lately. I really resonate with a lot of what you've said, and it really, well, first of all, it's like a light bulb moment that people are experiencing similar things, and just by sharing that, automatically you don't feel like you're the only one. So thank you for sharing that, first and foremost. But just for me to kind of understand, so how many years before you had your child were you a therapist?
So I've been a therapist, so I went straight into training from school. So I always wanted to be a therapist. I went into training already really passionate about what we do. My dad always used to give me little hand and foot and head massages when I was young. And it was always profound to me, the effects it had on my body. From a really young age, I was always really aware. And so, when I went into the training, I was just already really excited, and I always knew massage therapy was, my thing. And so, I went into the training doing that. And then after I completed my 2 years, I went actually straight to work at Pennyhill Park, right, which obviously, if you know Pennyhill Park, they are one of the best spas. They're incredible. But the foundation of their ethos is customer service. And so kind of being so young and going, that was my first job. My foundation as being a therapist is very much customer service. That's how I work. It's all about the client. It's all about how to make the client's experience special. And so from there on, I've been working by myself for the last 11 years, but everything I do is very much influenced by my time at Pennyhill. And again, it's all about the customer service for me. So
and so you're kind of bringing that 5-star experience into people's homes.
Yes, I do. Yes, so I work.
Yeah, go on.
You go. I'd say I work in a nice area over in Cobham, Oxshott Way. And so, I see I'd say about 5 or 6 different houses a day.
Wow. I just don't know where you get this energy from. I did some mobile massage for a few years and clearly wasn't doing it right because it burnt me out. So you've got some kind of magic ingredient that we need to know about. But like you said, is it sheer kind of connection to your bigger goal, and that's what keeps you going every day? But it's exhausting lugging a couch in and out of people's homes and setting up and packing it all away, let alone the the time that you have with them on the couch. So you've obviously got it down to a T. So I congratulate you for that. And just going back to the kind of moment that you realize that massage can transform and help so many conditions based on your suffering. You know, it's funny because you said, was it a few years before you had a massage after your child? And isn't that silly? You know, not, you're not silly, but I totally get that, because I think, you know, we're skilled in this, experts in the field, and when it comes to you, it took you years to have the massage. Isn't it crazy? You know, it just, and then it's like, again, you had the massage. Why didn't I do this sooner? This was the medicine that I needed from day one. And what kind of, was it just the sheer engulfing of all those feelings and all that sort of suffering that came over you that prevented you from getting treatment sooner?
I do think it was related to the depression. I stopped looking after myself. I didn't look after myself at all, to be honest. And I know that's obviously probably with most mums, they tend to put themselves on the back burner anyway as well. But I didn't like myself. I hated myself, and I couldn't bring myself to get that care. So it was, and that's why this campaign's so important, because I think a lot of people, like when you talk about these stories and like you say, you can resonate with that. I think it's important because it can help others to understand that these are things that you need when you are feeling that. They're so important to put some care back into you.
And again, it's hard when you're the carer, or you've always been the carer, and then you realize that actually you need to get that back for you, but it's just not in your nature to receive because you're the giver. Actually, you know, it's a practice, it's a self-care practice that you need to adopt. And if we're going to be out there caring for people, we need to know firsthand what it feels like to be cared for, not just to be giving that.
Absolutely.
Do you feel, Hayley, that doctors should be prescribing massage as an alternative for some people?
I do feel, yes. Yeah. It might not be, you know, necessary or, you know, appropriate in every single case, but I do think doctors should have a list of, you know, fully qualified therapists in their books, so they can refer their patients over when they feel it's necessary. Definitely. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking here, you know, we were all, obviously during lockdown, we were unable to work, but there was a campaign going on to try and get massage to be seen as being an essential. And I think what you've just said there, and I just explained and shared, is such a powerful case for that going forward, that, you know, that should never be allowed to happen again. You know, we are able to work safely. We know how to work safely, and we can bring so much to so many.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hayley,
no, I do agree.
Do you feel like you, just going back into your childhood a little bit, just when you were raised in like a conventional sort of environment, so, you know, where you go to the GP for all your problems, and is that correct?
Yes.
An accurate?
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is because at that moment when you were kind of in the hands of a conventional hospital, or I presume you gave birth in a conventional hospital, is that right?
I did, yeah.
And then, you know, the knock-on effect of everything that happened to you, I guess you were already in that conventional environment, so that's where you felt you could only get the help in terms of, you mentioned antidepressants and that kind of thing. So it's interesting, isn't it, how even though you are in a field of alternative complementary therapy, you almost by default went back to that conventional path, as if that was the thing that you needed the most, when actually none of that really progressed your healing. It was the massage that turned a corner for you. So it's just that it highlights that conditioning, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good point. And actually, it's funny you say that, because it took me about a year to take antidepressants. And I remember when I'd made the decision, it was like, okay, I've made the decision, I'm going to go on antidepressants. And it was almost like, okay, this is it, I'm fine now. Do you know? And that was my first thought. And then when I decided, I thought, okay, I'm on antidepressants, I'll be fine now. But it was, it wasn't the case at all. And so you're right, that conditioning, the first thought was the antidepressants, and then the next thought was, okay, great, I'm fine now, I've got my antidepressants.
Yeah.
And so that again is another component of the campaign. It's to try and open our minds to the different options we have, and I think with mental health, the way we look at mental health has changed so much, and our medicines and what we do to help people with mental health issues need to change as well. And massage therapy is proven to help with mental health issues. So
talk about the campaign for us. What's
Yeah.
the name? Where can people get information on it? Who's supporting you with the campaign, and what's your bigger goal for it?
So the main goal, the ultimate goal, is to have massage therapy prescribed as a treatment on the NHS. That's the big goal. Fingers crossed. There's obviously quite a big gap, and there's a lot of people not being able to get treatment because there aren't enough resources on the NHS at the moment. So to have our industry fill that in and to help those people kind of who aren't getting that help is the goal. That's what I would love to happen. Obviously, there are lots of goals that need to happen before to make that happen. For example, upskilling therapists to, be able to deal with clients with mental health issues, more awareness to people with mental health issues on how massage therapy can help them. So that's the ultimate goal, and they're the main goals. At this point in time, so I launched the campaign in July. Up until July, it was just, myself and my husband at home talking about it. I then brought in a specialist HR company who are specialised in this industry called Vivid. And so Dan's been helping me to kind of get the awareness out there first. The next stage now we're going into is the collaboration stage. So we're trying to get collaborations with, charities and brands. Because obviously a campaign of this magnitude can't just be achieved by myself. So we're just trying to get as much of the industry involved as possible at the moment. So
absolutely fantastic. And there's information through your social channels and what?
Yes, yeah. So I do have a website, which is www.massage4mentalhealth.com, 4 as in the number 4. And it's got lots of information on there, including some of the research that the campaign's, based on, and, other things too. And also you can find me on Instagram, which is Hayley_Snishko.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And then, just going back to, we didn't talk that much about you being an award-winning therapist. Don't want to miss out on that big
well, of course.
So how did this come about?
Oh, well, because I've worked for myself for 11 years, and lockdown came and I wasn't on social media at this point, and I just been working by myself for 8-9 years. And when lockdown came and everyone went online, it was so obvious that I wasn't online. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll just give this a go. And suddenly, I kind of started growing my, social media, and I started connecting with others in the industry. And I thought, this is great. I'm actually, connecting with people. This is fantastic. And I remember I saw the Babtac had a category for mobile therapists, and I think it was their first year. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it because it would be really great. It would be really great to do just to kind of, it's a good way to analyze where you're at with your business and, where you're at as a therapist. And so I thought it would be a good thing. And then I ended up winning it, which is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Honestly, that really does highlight that. Because that's quite a daunting thing, isn't it? I imagine a lot of therapists were like, oh no, I don't want to enter because I'm not good enough, or you know, but look at the way you approach that, was just with such clarity, you know. Well, it's actually a learning curve for me. So gosh, I really admire you for that. That's incredible. And Jules, did you want to finish with one last question for Hayley?
I mean, you know, if you could share just two things for up and coming therapists, let's say on setting boundaries, for example, let's start with that one. Where would be your top two takeaways on setting boundaries?
It's a good question. I think, firstly, coming back to self-care, I think the first and most important boundary is making sure you are looking after yourself first, because you can't give from an empty cup.
No.
I've been there, I've done that, and it's not fun. And you have to learn not only what your self-care looks like, because self-care is different for everyone. It's not, you know, it's not the same thing. But you have to understand what the signs are when you need to use that self-care. So I think most importantly is self-care. So understanding what and when they are, that's the biggest thing, looking after yourself and not burning out. And kind of going on from that, I think the next most important thing is learning how to say no. You know, it's such an industry where we already give so much, and it's so easy just to say yes to everything. Okay, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll squeeze that one in. Yes, I'll do that for you. But you have to learn to, if your body feels like you need to say no, you need to say no. If something doesn't feel right, for example, if you had a client that you weren't sure about, you need to learn to say no. You need to be able to know to step away from something, just to look after yourself. And I think that's really important. That's something I've learned over the 15, 16 years I've been doing this. You know, I was always very much a yes person, said yes to everything, did everything, helped anyone I could. I didn't look after myself, and I just burn out. I've done it a couple of times, and I burn out, I get really ill, and then I have to reevaluate and reassess everything. So I think, looking after yourself and learning to say no.
So what do you do for yourself then, physically, let's say physically, mentally and spiritually? Could you sort of give us an insight there on your, either your weekly routines or your daily hacks to keep that in balance?
What do I do? So for me, one of my biggest things, and at first it was always really hard for me to admit this, but being a mum, I'd always feel so guilty, but I need to be on my own. So when I get to a point where I feel a bit overwhelmed by things, I have to just be away from everyone and just be by myself. So I make sure I have time every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, just on my own, just to sit down. And, you know, whatever I do in that time, whether I read or just, you know, I'm on social media, although I should cut that back more, or watching a film, I need time by myself. So time on my own for me is my biggest thing. And also, you know, if I'm really stressed, I jump on the bike. I have to exercise, because it just helps to get all of that kind of stress and anxiety when it builds up. It just helps to get it out, really. And as well, massages when I get time. Massages and reflexology.
Absolutely. I'm a massage junkie myself.
How are you?
I can get them at any chance. And just to close, what about some practical advice for any of therapists out there who are thinking about setting up a mobile business? And, you know, what are the keys to success? Because it's not always evident. You know, going into other people's homes. We already did a podcast in last season about, you know, the fears of, you know, being in those situations where you're going to be taken advantage of. So, you know, what would be your, again, there, something that you'd like to share for young therapists who are thinking about a career as a mobile therapist?
Well, I think firstly, with mobile therapy, the way I've done it is I've pretty much been quite strict on being a refer-only business.
Right.
And that's mainly for, obviously, from a safety point of view. As you say, you're going into people's houses you might not know. And, you know, referral also is one of the biggest ways of getting new clients too. And so I invested quite heavily in, you know, referrals. That's what I push. And I think also another piece of advice is try and find your niche. You know, when I started doing this, when I started mobile therapy 11 years ago, I tried to offer everything. but I mean, for me, I found that personally didn't work. You know, massage was my thing. So I streamlined my treatment menu down. I offered a selection of treatments that worked for the clients I was looking after. And that for me was the best thing I did, just kind of specializing in the massage and the skincare. And that was it. So I'd say kind of refer only, and, you know, find your niche and just stick with that.
Wise words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The confidence that you exude is something that I think lots of therapists will connect with and just want to build on, because again, it really is about knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and going out and getting it. And that does sound cliche, but sometimes
do you know what, it's so true. And I haven't always been this confident. It took me a few years to kind of get, when I started by myself, to get into the flow of it. And it took me making mistakes and doing things wrong to learn how to do it right, you know. And it's taken me a bit of time, but I kind of feel like I'm there now.
Hayley, thanks so much.
Thank you so much
on with us. And if you have any questions for us or Hayley, please email spasisterspodcast@gmail.com. Connect with us on social media @spasisterspodcast. Check Hayley's Instagram out. Hayley, do you want to share that link again?
Yes, certainly. So my Instagram is at Hayley_Snishko, and I will clarify the spelling on that. It's SNISHKO. It's Hayley_Snishko.
Thank you. And you can definitely count on us to also support with your campaign as well, any way we can.
Oh, thank you so much. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hayley.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.